What is going on, my friends? Seth here from Addicted to Aesthetics. So, as you can see from the title, here today to talk about how to build some damn muscle. It's the fall time, it is bulking season, time to make some mass gains. So, I just want to talk about the most important thing that must happen in order for you to build muscle. And that is progressive overload. The most important thing. Progressive overload means that you are challenging your muscles and putting them through a stress that they have never felt before, and you continue to keep challenging them and keep putting them through new stresses that they've never been through before. Okay? So, obviously, to build muscle, you have to lift weights or do calisthenics to a point that calisthenics will only get you so far, or anything physically demanding type of work that puts lots of stress on your muscles. But since this is a health and fitness channel, I'm sure most of you guys probably lift weights, so let's just talk about how to use progressive overload when lifting weights. So, the most common way to make progressive overload happen in your training is by getting stronger. I think most of us probably know that by now. The goal should be to be adding weight to the bar as often as possible. So if that's the most common and probably the best way to cause muscle growth is because every time you're lifting heavier weight, your muscles are feeling a new stress they haven't felt before. So your muscles are progressively being more challenged and having to adapt to that. That's why you get stronger, because your muscles are like, all right, well, that was heavy as hell. Let's get a little stronger so the next time we have to lift that, it won't be so damn hard, So it's just the adaptation. That's what muscle growth is. It's your body adapting to the stimulus, and the stimulus is lifting weights. So, that being said, when you're a brand new beginner to lifting weights, you should be focusing on lifting heavy, like the 4 to 6 rep range, on compound movements. You have to do compound movements. The first commandment in building muscle is thou shalt squat, deadlift, bench press, overhead press, rows, pull-ups, because those are the best exercises to build muscle. The compound movements, they are the best because they use the most amount of muscle groups, so you can build the most overall muscle mass. You can lift the most amount of weight, so you can overload your muscles the most, and they just lend themselves to progressive overload the best, because when you're brand new, you could add 5-10 pounds to the bar every week to your squat, your bench, your deadlift when you go to the gym when you're a beginner. So they are just the most effective and efficient exercises to build muscle with. So when you first start off as a beginner, you want to be lifting heavy, 4 to 6 reps, compound movements. And then if you still have some gas left in the tank after your compound movements, then you can throw in some isolations after that and work on developing that mind-muscle connection, and to give specific muscles a little more attention. But as we all know, you can only get stronger for so long. Eventually in your training, you come in and you can't add weight to the bar week to week. You're struggling just to gain a rep here and there on your heavy lifts. So once that happens, hopefully by then you've gained a good base of strength. So now when that happens, you have to start playing with other variables to make your training become progressively harder. So some of the best ways to do that is by adding volume. Adding volume is probably the second best way to cause progressive overload in your training. You just progressively do more work. So your muscles end up having to adapt to more strenuous workload. There's been studies that show like basically a dose dependent response of volume and hypertrophy, which means basically the more volume, the more sets people were doing, the more growth they were getting. So we know volume is a key driver in muscle growth. So once you are been lifting a year or so and you're starting to plateau in your major compound lifts, now lifting in a little bit higher rep range is going to be very beneficial to you, the 8 to 12 rep range. That's why they call it the hypertrophy rep range. It's because when you're lifting in that 8 to 12 rep range, you're still lifting heavy enough to get great muscle growth, but you're able to accumulate a lot of volume working in 8 to 12. To accumulate a lot of volume working in the 4 to 6 rep range, you would have to do a ton of sets, and it will take, because you have to rest a long time in between sets when you're lifting that heavy. So your workouts would be super long, it's super challenging, and it'd be more stressful on your tendons and ligaments and joints and everything from lifting that heavy that much. So 8 to 12 becomes your sweet spot for most of your training. So what you want to do as far as like progressing your volume, adding volume in, is at the start of your mesocycle, do 10 to 12 sets your first week, okay? And then if you don't know what a mesocycle is a block of training. So let's say if you take a deload every 6 to 8 weeks, after you take your deload, you start your new mesocycle. So week 1, do 10 to 12 sets per muscle group for the week. Week 2, add a set or two, so 13 to 14. And then week 3, do 15 to 16 sets. And then week 4, do 17 to 18. And then week 5, 19 to 20. And week 6, 21 to 22. And if you keep adding sets in like that every week, you can guarantee that you are making progress. You're going to be, your training's going to be getting progressively harder by you doing progressively more volume. And so obviously you still want to be trying to get stronger on all your lifts. You want to be adding weight to the bar when you can, but when you can't add weight to the bar, you just add sets. So, and if you do it that way, like the first couple weeks are going to feel like pretty easy, but you're still going to be making gains, because after your deload week and you rest, your body's kind of resensitized to hypertrophy style training. So you'll still get growth off of only doing like 12 sets, 10 to 12 sets per muscle group that week. And so your body adapts to the 10 to 12 sets. So then the next week you add a couple sets. Now you're challenging your body again, and you just keep doing that, adding a couple sets every week until you get to the last week. So if let's say you lift heavy 6 weeks and then you take 1 week off. That's what I like to do. I like to try to get 6 solid weeks in and then take a deload week. On that 6th week, when you're upwards of 20 sets, it's going to be very challenging, and you might overreach a little bit. You might actually be doing a little bit more than you can recover from. Which is good, because after that, because you have a whole week of your deload to recover from that training, and by temporarily overreaching like that and then taking a break and then coming back, you can experience a super compensation effect in your body. And so yeah, it's been shown to be very effective in lots of sports, and it's been theorized by people like Mike Israetel to work from your minimum effective dose, so the smallest amount of volume you can grow from, and then you keep adding work until you hit your maximum recoverable volume, and that is basically the most amount of work you can recover from, the most amount of sets. And then you go just past, and when you figure out the amount of sets that you can, like the most sets you could do per week and still recover from, on the last week of your mesocycle, do a little bit more than that, and then take your deload, and yeah, that super compensation effect will happen. And if you keep doing that every training block, just add sets in, add volume while trying to make progress on, trying to get stronger in the process. but just keep adding volume like that every week, and you are going to be ensuring that you are, you know, keeping progressive overload present in your training, and you will make very good gains. So that's all I want to say in this quick video. Well, I guess it wasn't that quick. I got a little rambly, but yeah. So this is part 1 of my series on how to build muscle, and I have got probably 4 or 5 more videos to come on this topic. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you go out there and build some muscle, make some hella gains, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.